All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be architects, but we're not building with bricks and mortar. Nope, we're building with trust and with communication. We're going to break down the architecture of human connection and give you a real blueprint for building stronger, more meaningful relationships where it counts, at work. So, let me ask you this, and I want you to really think about it for a second. The connections you have with your team, your clients, your boss, are they solid? I mean, are they built on a real foundation? Or do they feel a little temporary, a little shaky? That's the core question we're tackling. How do we move from those flimsy connections to relationships that are actually built to last? And this is so important because for a long time, we've kind of dismissed this stuff as soft skills. But let's be real. The ability to connect with another human being, that is not a soft skill. It is a massive strategic advantage. It literally impacts everything. Teamwork, keeping good people around, customer loyalty, you name it. It's the secret engine that makes a great workplace run. Which brings us to the main idea for today. We have to start thinking about connection like it's architecture. This isn't some magical personality trait that you're either born with or you're not at all. It is 100% a skill. It's a process, it has a blueprint, and it's something you can learn, you can practice, and you can get really, really good at.
So before we start building, we've got to know what we're aiming for, right? What does a positive connection even mean at work? Well, it's not about being best friends with everyone. It's about having these three things: mutual trust, super clear communication, and making sure you're all pointing in the same direction, a shared understanding of the goals. Get those three things right, and you've got a rock-solid foundation.
And here's how you do it. These are the three main pillars that hold the whole structure up. First, and this is huge, you have to listen to understand, not just to wait for your turn to talk. Second, you've got to communicate your own thoughts with real clarity. And third, you use those first two pillars to consistently, day after day, build that mutual trust. Simple, but so powerful. Okay, let's get into our first blueprint. This is all about looking inward, inside your own organization. We're talking about managers and their teams. The big idea here is making a fundamental shift, moving away from just supervising people and toward actually coaching them. And this table just lays it out so perfectly. Look at the left side, the old way. Telling. That's all about just giving orders, focusing only on getting the task done, which, well, it just makes people dependent on you. But now look at the right side, the architected approach. Coaching is about asking smart questions, focusing on growing the person, not just the project, and in the end, you create people who can think for themselves. It's a total game changer. So how do you actually do this? Well, here are some real practical techniques. Instead of asking, is that report done, which is just a yes or no, try asking, what was the most interesting part of putting that report together? See the difference? One's a checkbox, the other opens up a real conversation. Or try this, schedule check-ins that have no agenda. You're just there to listen, to see how they're doing. And always, always remember the golden rule of coaching. Listen way more than you talk. That's how you build things. Now let's pivot and look at our second blueprint. This is for all our external relationships. Clients, customers, you get the idea. The challenge here is to stop thinking about just making a sale, a simple transaction, and to start thinking about building a real, lasting relationship. And again, the difference is night and day. Transacting is short-term. It's all about the sale, it's talking at the customer. But connecting, that's a whole different mindset. You're not focused on the sale, you're focused on the solution to their problem. You're listening, really listening to what they need. You're not looking for a one-off interaction. You're building a long-term partnership. So what are the tools in this blueprint? First, find some genuine common ground. Talk about something other than the product. And when you follow up, don't just send another pitch. Send something of value, an interesting article, a helpful tip. It shows you were paying attention. And maybe the most important tool of all, always, always understand their why, their deep-seated need before you ever start talking about your what, which is your product. That's how you go from seller to partner. All right, so we've looked at the internal blueprint for teams and the external one for clients. Let's pull this all together now into one master plan that you can actually use. If you remember nothing else, remember these four things. 1, connection is a skill you can build. It is not an accident. 2, with your teams, you got to shift from telling to coaching. 3,
with your customers, shift from transacting to connecting. And 4, none of this happens without those 3 pillars we talked about. It all starts with listening, with clarity, and with building trust.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. A blueprint is pretty useless if you just leave it on the table, right? You've got to start building. So think about your own work life right now. Which relationship, maybe with a colleague, a direct report, a client, could really use some better architecture? What is the one connection you're going to start intentionally building starting tomorrow?